Alright guys, welcome to the first time we're doing a sort of Highlander re-recording. I'm Jared, joined with Pat Squared, Pat James.
Hello.
And
hello.
Pat Berdusco. So this is a new thing we're going to try out. We're going to do some commentary over a match that we've already recorded. This is the finals of our Highlander for Staples event, featuring Noel Robin on your left on Craterhoof. So mono green Craterhoof, like a natural order, elf ball, green mid-rangey style deck. It has a bunch of different lines of attack. Pretty interesting deck. And Layne on a deck that's very similar to Ben Wheeler's Jeskai Midrange deck, which he's been terrorizing the format with this last year.
Thankfully, it looks like his terror's come to an end, at least with that list, but...
Well, yeah.
Just winning on different decks now.
Yeah. So this match is the finals of a Staples tournament. It was 5-round Swiss, cut to top 8.
We had 32 or 36 out?
I think it was 32 people, exactly enough people so that we didn't have to play a 6th round of Swiss. Thankfully, that was a long day.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're just shuffling up here. Looks like Noel's just about done shuffling. What did you guys play in this tournament?
I did. I played the classic Sandra Bullock.
Oh yeah, Sandy B.
Went 2 and 3, I believe, and...
Do you want to explain a little bit about Sandy B for those who might not know it by its that name?
Sandra Bullock is so it's basically an Academy Rector list. It wants to get out
Pattern of Rebirth.
Yeah, it looks to get a Pattern of Rebirth and a Sack Outlet.
Hulk.
Find Protean Hulk and the classic Melira Protean Hulk. Melira, Sack Outlet, and Murderous Red Cap.
But we can no longer call that deck Sandra Bullock.
Just recently won. Pat, did you play in this tournament?
Yep. Played 4-color Kiki. Lost my winning into one Jeremy White.
All right.
We also we knew that Noel would be at least in the finals of this event because he's playing about a quarter of his deck as forests.
Yeah. Noel's playing his requisite 10 forests, so he was pretty guaranteed to do well in this tournament. I was playing a Wildfire deck, sort of Academy Wildfire, blue or red, looks to get a ton of mana, and then just do broken things with Tolarian Academy, like cast Upheaval, floating 10 mana, replay everything I have. You have no board, cast a bunch of Wildfires, cast some big Planeswalkers.
Sounds like a fun list.
Yeah, it was super fun. Got to knock Pat out of the tournament, so did everyone else a favor.
Always good.
I made it to the semifinals, losing to Noel, which I actually think is a pretty favorable matchup, but Noel was able to pull it out.
Craterhoof can get there pretty quickly if you can assemble, mana dork, natural order.
It's one of those decks that can win any matchup, really. It's just a super powerful deck. Looks like Noel took a mulligan and Josh kept his 7 here.
Yeah, so Noel's on for 6.
Yeah, for 6.
So in Highlander, if you're not familiar with the mulligan system, we have a slightly different mulligan system. You get your opening 7. If you don't like it, you mulligan down to 6 as normal. However, you aren't allowed to have a second 6. So if you don't like your first 6, you have a second 6. So you often see players mulligan a little bit more aggressively, knowing that you have access to 2 6s, and you also have access to 2 5s, 2 4s all the way down.
And then you still do get a scry.
Yeah, and you also get the scry. So it's the same as regular mulligans, except for 7, you have an additional mulligan at each step of the way.
Yeah.
So it's like Noel shipped his first 6, going to second 6.
His 7 and 6 must have been light on lands because this deck in this match can keep anything, almost any hand that has 2 forests in it, maybe and in 1 creature.
Well, I think Noel's really looking to have a turn 1 elf. I'd almost mulligan
That's the only thing he's looking for in this match.
Any hand that doesn't have a turn... Yeah, there we go.
He's got the Deep Shadow.
Any accelerant. That's probably... It's maybe the second worst elf in the deck. Avacyn's Pilgrim is worse, because it's not an elf. But Elves of Deep Shadow is still an elf, but it's certainly not the one you hope for.
It's off color. I mean, he's probably playing Deathrite Shaman, but beyond that, you're not getting anything out of the black.
Yeah.
And the 1 point of damage per turn probably isn't overly detrimental, but certainly doesn't help.
Not super relevant, but any matchup, especially against a red deck, it can make a difference. So Josh just opening on 2 fetches. Gonna wait to see what kind of lands he needs before he decides to crack those off. Noel just playing another mana producer.
Yeah, Josh is hoping to go counterspell into powerful 3-drop.
I don't think Josh counters this. I don't think I'd counter this if I was Josh. Noel's already got an accelerant into play, and if he has a third land, has 4 mana already, which is sort of like where green stops casting cards that don't really affect the board and start really having threats.
I think the Jeskai list really likes the Arc Trails and the like, though, so carried it being hexproof is pretty problematic for it.
That's true.
He's also probably
he's
probably going to curve out through the next 3 turns, so playing a counter spells it might just not do anything if he doesn't cast it here as well.
It's possible. Yeah.
Looks like we got a Remand.
Oh, okay. Remand's a really good one on Caryatid.
Yep.
Because it doesn't actually deal with any of the really threatening cards, but...
Oh, Noel had a better one.
It slows Noel down a turn. I saw a peek at Josh's hand, and it looks like he has a Lightning Angel in it, so if he doesn't play a threat this turn, get to look out for...
Well, that's a good one. That's Patty B's Lightning Angel.
Yeah, this tournament, everyone was looking for Lightning Angels.
Oh, really? Were there a bunch of Jeskai lists running around?
Yeah, I think it was the most popular deck for sort of
You should see even Mondays right now, there's like 3 people showing up with it. And
this tournament, and each of the few tournaments after this one, there have been a run on the blue-white red cards at
Ben showed it off and...
Mantis Rider.
Like Mantis, yeah.
Oh, the best 3-drop.
There have been a couple like resurgences of like really popular cards. Yeah, you're seeing more Lightning Angels. Fire Covenant seems to be showing up in more and more lists.
That's Fire Covenant's a response to all the mid-range decks.
Yeah, it's really good in the mid-range mirror, and it's really good out of the mid-range decks against the swarm decks that are trying to take advantage of the mid-range.
But it's a card that I hadn't thought I hadn't seen it in Highlander until maybe 3 months ago. Now I'm seeing it.
Yeah, it was played off and on.
At least once a Monday.
I've played it. Spencer played it, but I think that's about it. Noel has a pile of mana.
Looking for a big Garrick.
It will resolve, but we know Josh has a Lightning Angel, so Noel's really just getting a Beast and 6 life out of it, which certainly isn't the worst, but he'd hope to get more. He'd hope to at least get a second 3/3 out of the deal.
Well, he only has 2 cards left in hand, so there's a chance that Josh... Well, I guess he kills the Garrick here.
And the 3/3 looks really bad against the Lightning Angel.
Oh, man.
This deck, and like Craterhoof in general, is just very, very weak to flyers. I think that's been one of the successes of the Jeskai list, is that it has a lot of reasonably efficient flyers.
Flying's insane in Highlander.
And there's times when it's good and there's times when it's just okay. But now when everybody's playing green-based mid-range decks, like, flyers are always good against those decks.
Yeah.
Like, you're just playing big ground guys. And if you can have some removal spells, some counter spells, and your threats are flyers.
I had one bit of advice before the tournament for Noel. I said, Noel, you should put Arbor Colossus in your deck. And he sort of laughed like I was kind of kidding, and then he looks at me when he gets paired up against Josh in the last round, and I'm like, shrug my shoulders. Should have put it in.
Josh forgetting that his Mantis Rider has Vigilance there. These two creatures have the exact same keywords on them. Flying, Vigilance, Haste. Very, very strong keywords. Noel getting back his Garrick, but I'm not exactly sure...
Oh, he's behind now.
...how much that is going to help him. But it's a Priest of Titania, so he still has a ton of mana. Can cast anything he wants. That Priest taps for 3, Elves of Deep Shadow for 1, so he has access to...
It looks like he might have been short on green mana this game, too. Because...
Over 10 mana. Well, he's definitely not going to be short green mana for his next turn.
No.
If that Priest sticks around. But Josh is in a super commanding position here.
Yeah, the value on getting the Garrick pack didn't seem great, but I think he's got to run the Witness out anyways.
So I think Noel is at 16 already. Looks like he's going to go down to 10 from these attacks. And then... Oh, wow.
This is painful, yeah.
The electrolyze. There's the arc trail effects that Pat James was alluding to earlier that are super, super strong.
But it's okay, Lightning Angel doesn't, or Mantis Rider still doesn't have vigilance.
Yeah. Josh needing to read his... There you go. Somebody pointing out that those two cards are basically the same card. And Josh should stop tapping his Mantis Rider.
Yeah, it's looking tough for a comeback here for Noel.
Yeah, no 5th land for Josh. Oh, I spoke too soon. Alright, there we go. There is a 5th land for Josh.
He's got Caracas out too. I mean, that's a pretty hoser card against the Cradlehoof. You know, if you end up getting your Merit Lodge or something like Rafael, you're just losing forever.
It shuts off one of the really unique angles of attack.
Or his best defense in this particular game, too.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the Dark Depths Thespian stage combo, usually tutored up by Primeval Titan. But you also have... This deck also plays Crop Rotation, Expedition Map, and Sylvan Scrying, usually to find Gaia's Cradle. But if you already have one of the pieces of the...
Gaia's Cradle or Nykthos.
Yeah, that's true. But if you already have one of the pieces of the depth stage combo, often getting the other half is very strong and leads to a game-winning position. But Josh having Caracas makes that pretty ineffective. Josh casting a main phase Anticipate.
He's
slams
looking for a way
one
to end
card.
this game in the next 2 turns now.
Yeah.
Didn't attack
So I
Derek.
think Noel goes to...
Oh, he's dead. Okay.
Or I must have miscounted life totals because it looks like he just needed the burn spell to finish him off. All right, so Josh takes game 1, and Josh's draw was really, really exceptional that game. He had, as we said, he's looking to counter something on turn 2. Basically, almost anything Noel did. Remand was almost the best possible counter spell there. Did a really good time walk.
It was just counterspell draw card.
Yeah, time walk, impersonation. And then he had maybe the two best threats in his deck on turn 3 and 4 in Mantis Rider and Lightning Angel. The Vigilance Haste Flyers, so strong against this green deck.
Which matchup do you like? Which deck do you like in the matchup? Do you think? You think Jeskai runs over this, or?
I think it's slightly in Jeskai's favor, but it sort of depends on how you build these decks. As Pat says, there's some sort of techie options the green decks can play that are really, really difficult for the Jeskai deck to deal with if they see play. So if they don't hold up a count, because this Jeskai deck only runs 8 to 10 counter spells depending on how you build it. So that's not actually a ton. They're definitely not going to have a counter spell for every threat you play.
Yeah.
So if you manage to stick like an Arbor Colossus or I forgot about that card, and I was actually thinking of Whiplash Spider, which is the 2/7 for 5 that activated ability can Hurricane.
Oh, okay.
Deal X damage to each flyer, green X. So you can just... And it's a 2/7 with reach. So it's almost impossible for Josh's deck to burn out. It needs one of the white removal
or
spells
fly
in the
over.
deck. And it blocks everything in the deck.
I almost thought about that Skylasher, whatever, the Flash Flyer Pro Blue
can't be countered.
Yeah,
Yeah, that guy's probably fine right now.
That in Hoof.
One other thing I'd like to point out while they're shuffling up is that Noel played a Mana Vault and didn't tap it.
Yeah.
So he drew one of his pointed cards, and it just seemed really ineffectual. That might have been because he also drew Soul Ring, but usually when you draw your pointed cards, you want them to have a big impact on the game, and Mana Vault seemed really ineffective that game.
Yeah, at first I thought that he was baiting with the counterspell with the Caryatid, but it looks like the Caryatid would have been extremely more powerful than the Mana Vault, providing a green mana where he might have had a line to Eternal Witness and cast his Garruk in the same turn, as opposed to never using the Mana Vault.
Exactly, or even being able to cast 2 spells in a turn more often. So Noel's points in this deck, looks like Josh kept 7 and Noel mulliganing again. Noel's points in this deck are Natural Order, which is 5 points, Soul Ring, which is another 4, bringing us up to 9, and then Mana Vault is sort of the 10th point. There's not really another good 1-point card for the green deck to play. I know they've been testing out some other options. I've seen some people testing out Skull Clamp.
Trenton plays Mox Emerald.
Okay, Josh is mulliganing. Just took a while to make that decision. And I think Josh's point... I'm not sure what Josh's points were for this tournament. I know he's on
Recall,
Time Walk.
presumably. Oh no, Time Walk over Recall, yeah.
Yeah, I knew he was on Time Walk.
I think it's Ben's points.
I think-
Mox, Time Walk, Stoneforge, Jet, true name.
Wasn't he on Cruise over Jet?
Maybe Cruise over Jet. It's Recall and Mox, and then...
Recall, no, Time Walk, Blue Mox.
I mean Time Walk.
I know he's playing True Name. I know he's playing Stoneforge.
And
And
then,
then
you either choose...
it's either Jit or Cruise for the last point.
No,
So-
mulliganing again.
Noel going to second 6 again. Josh looking at a first 6. Looks like it has a few burn spells in it. I saw it Electrolyze and a War Leader's Helix, I think. So maybe Josh will keep it based on the fact that I saw some lands and Electrolyze.
I believe Josh is trying to avoid having his 3 damage burn spells besides Lightning Bolt. He wants his Arc Trails and his Fork Bolts.
Definitely. I don't think this deck plays it doesn't play the 2 mana deal 3 damage burn spells, I don't think. I think it only plays Lightning Bolt and maybe Chain Lightning.
Chain Lightning, okay.
So it only plays the really efficient ones.
And we've talked about what you should be targeting your Lightning Bolts at in Highlander, but when you're against Hoof, you want to kill their elf every time.
Yeah, because their elves sort of do double duty, because the Hoof deck, more often than not, will have a way to find Gaia's Cradle or Nykthos or Priest of Titania or something, like even keeping them off creatures so that Hoof doesn't actually kill you is super important.
Are both players scrying?
Alright, Josh kept his first 6 there with War Leader's Helix and Electrolyze, Noel keeping his second 6 here. Both players kept on top. Noel has an Arbor Elf. It's a much better elf than Elves of Deep Shadow this time.
You know, produces better mana, doesn't take away your life total.
Oh, those are the points of damage I missed last game. The Elves of Deep Shadow.
Elves of Deep Shadow.
Yeah.
So that's why I was 2 points off. Josh has Caracas again, so this shuts off that line of play that we talked about last game of Noel going for Depth Stage.
Looks like Noel's fetching with a Windswept Heath.
Yeah. Although Noel is playing Wasteland in this version of Green, which not every deck plays. That's actually how he beat me in the semifinals. He was able to Wasteland my Mishra's Workshop in Game 3. So, Eternal Witnessing back the fetch land on turn 2. A good play if you're short on lands. Otherwise, it's sort of underwhelming.
Also, it lets you run something out that you're not really upset about getting Fork Bolted or Electrolyzed.
That's true, so it might induce Josh into burning this Electrolyze a little early. But Noel doing exactly what the green deck wants to, getting ahead on mana and putting the other deck on the back foot.
Looks like he has Crop Rotation in his hand, so that's not going to be for a Thespian Stage or a Dark Depths.
No, definitely going to want to be Gaia's Cradle in this situation. Looking across from the Caracas.
Again, I've certainly
It's like
Josh
I'm gonna
talking to him about it.
I've certainly crop rotationed in for my Wasteland before too.
Definitely.
That's a strong play.
Especially if you're already ahead on mana, and against these mid-range decks where they have 3 colors, I'd actually be more tempted to wait till Joss fetches with that Bloodstain Mire, because then if he fetches end step with that Bloodstain Mire, he won't be able to counter a spell unless it's Force of Will, and if he's Force of Willing your crop rotation, you're okay with that.
Or waiting
And-
till he fetches and then getting Wasteland and keep just letting him have all the white mana in play. He
Exactly.
needs.
And I was gonna say trying to get him off a color seems
Yeah, it's strong.
real good.
This blue white red deck is mana hungry, but also doesn't want to lose to Blood Moon effects.
Yeah. Haven't been able to get too good a look at what's going on in Noel's hand, but
It looks like he has a Hunt Master of the Fells.
oh, I see a Garrett Wild
Shiny
Speaker.
Garrick, yeah.
Yeah.
Which it looks like we're gonna see.
Yeah, so as I was mentioning last game, 4 mana's the sort of point when the green deck stops casting sort of utility things and starts casting haymakers that are gonna sort of must counter threats. And
Noel's probably trying to consider what spell he wouldn't mind getting mana leaked the least.
yeah, it resolves here, and that's what I was saying earlier. That this you can just start jamming spells against this Jeskai deck, and lots of times they don't have the counter spell.
It's not playing a lot of counter
Yeah,
spells.
people didn't realize this at first. I think they sort of figured it out now. But yeah, this deck doesn't have many counter spells. Chances are if they have one, then they won't have the second. And quite often they don't even have the first.
And Noel trying to set up a most threatening board state he can with all his permanents that resolve.
Yeah, so he gets in for 2 on Josh, putting him down to 18. Makes a beast with that Garrick.
I'd be a little scared letting Garrick go down to 2 in this match.
I don't think he has something to cast with the mana as well, which makes it a more powerful play.
He has a Huntmaster in hand, so unless Josh can kill this end step and then leave counter magic up again,
it's better to let the Garrick die and
like if Josh is using we know Josh has an Electrolyze in hand, so if Josh is just electrolyzing your Garrick, you're keeping your Elf and Eternal Witness in play. Eternal Witness is less important, but it puts on pressure.
Noel can also crop rotation for Kessig Wolf Run if Josh's line is to put a bigger creature in play, such as Lightning Angel or...
Yeah. So, I think since Noel has Huntmaster in hand, he's okay letting Josh kill off his Garrick. Garrick already put the Beast into play, and if Josh is spending his whole turn dealing with his Garrick and not putting anything on board, Noel's getting in for another 5 damage, at least.
The line's extremely threatening, too, because the amount of mana you have when you untap with Garrick, if Josh doesn't spend his turn dealing with it, is very threatening.
That's Primeval Titan mana.
That's Primeval Titan mana.
So there's sort of 2 thresholds with this green deck. 4 mana, which I've mentioned a couple of times now, which is when you're going to want to start countering spells, and 6 mana, which is when you have to counter spells.
Yeah, so that looks like the Caracas could have punished Josh as well, because he maybe had mana drain or counterspell, but he can no longer afford to hold up counterspell magic.
Yeah, it looks like Josh has a Spell Pierce in his hand, sort of Fire and Ice.
So he had to main phase Electrolyze
Ward Leader's Helix.
The Garrick.
Yeah. So the coast is pretty clear for Noel. It's pretty clear that Josh doesn't have a Force of Will or any free counterspell, because that definitely would have tagged that Garrick.
Yeah.
Let's see what Noel's able to do here with the shields down. Yeah, there's the Huntmaster. And it's going to force Josh to tap out again. So puts Josh down to 13 with this attack.
That's exactly the board state the green player is looking for, right?
Exactly.
Bunch of creatures.
He has 5 creatures on board. Your opponent has 3 lands and no board.
Yeah, where a Lightning Angel's not good enough anymore.
Yeah. It'll slow you down, but it's not going to stop you. Josh starting things off this turn with the Ponder. Looks like some lands and a Lightning Helix.
The Lightning Helix is strong. It allows him to pass the turn and Helix the Huntmaster on Noel's turn to avoid a flip. Still doesn't put him in good shape.
It's alright, but he's still not impacting the board. Yeah, Josh shuffling there. I'm not that surprised. Because if you draw the Helix there, you also have to draw the 2 lands.
Yeah.
And then you're basically saying that I'm going to have to try and stabilize with the cards that are in my hand, and I'm not sure Josh thinks he can do that. So we'll see.
Josh should be looking for something like Brimaz maybe, or I'm not too sure what can get him back in this game.
Yeah, even like Arc Trail here is really good because Noel missed his land drop, so hitting an Arc Trail for Huntmaster and the Elf is really strong. Because that keeps Noel off that key 4th mana, all that tap land. And then pass the turn. Jeez.
How do you feel about the 3-color tap lands?
I think they're okay in decks that are really, really mana hungry, and provided you're going a bit bigger. I don't mind playing a couple tap lands. I generally prefer to play man lands as my sort of utility lands.
Yeah, I think they're a lot better. I mean, I think I should try if I go back to the Sandy B list, which is an Abzan list. I've been thinking about the 3-color tap land for that one, but it's hard.
Oh, interesting. Josh just needing to save the life here and pathing the Beast over the Huntmaster. That's really interesting. So let's see, he was at 13.
We know he's in trouble now.
Yeah,
like so he wasn't before.
Still takes 7 going to 6.
He has War Leader's Helix.
Yeah.
So he's just trying to 1-for-1 that Noel and stabilize the board.
Did he draw that Helix, or was that in the Ponder?
He already had it in his hand.
War Leader's Helix was in his opener, yeah. But
Sorry, War Leader's Helix.
it's really interesting that he thinks that the incremental damage from the beast is going to be bigger than the threat Noel has of just being able to pass the turn and flip that Huntmaster.
Well, he's lining up the War Leader's Helix on Noel's
Here's crop
next turn,
rotation.
but he has to cast a spell on his turn.
So I wonder if no, Noel wouldn't do this before damage. Cast a Gulf Run doesn't have enough mana for that. Yeah, there's the Cradle.
Cradle tap 4.
Thragtusk. Oh, that's a good one. So the green deck showing its sort of mid-rangey draw here, and that you're not going to be able to out 1-for-1 at this game.
Yeah,
Josh just scoops him up. Yeah. So that was a super good draw from Noel. Did exactly what he wanted to do. Elf, another threat, Planeswalker.
Yeah, cards like
Just
Huntmaster and
All creatures that do more than one thing.
Yeah,
Exactly,
once one spell resolved, Josh was forced to tap out to deal with it, and then Noel got to resolve another threat, and then Josh was forced to tap out to deal with it, and then didn't even deal with it. He had to deal with the leftover from Garruk, so he spent 2 turns dealing with Garruk. Because he electrolyzed Garruk, and then he pondered, found a path to exile, and pathed the beast. And that let Noel resolve both Huntmaster and Thragtusk, which just put Josh way too far behind.
yeah, none of like those cards are such a problem for any sort of red deck, right? Where it's a card that comes down, you gain a bit of life back, and then if the creature dies, you get something back.
Yeah,
It's
short of a combo deck or a control deck, actually even control decks, like letting Huntmaster and Thragtusk resolve puts you in a real bad spot.
Yeah.
Short of being a combo deck. Or unless you have like Moat in play.
That damn Moat. Or Humility. But who would play Humility? Come on.
No one would do that.
Humility is a disgusting Magic card.
I beat Pat James in a fun for me, not very fun for him match of Magic, where I won 2 games with Humility and Jace Architect of Thought, locking him out of the game. One of which he had a Domri emblem.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of 0-1s with Hexproof, Trample, Double Strike, and Haste.
And they only cost me 8. What value?
Yeah, I lost a game to Stefan where he had Orbs of Warding and Humility, and I had a Domri emblem. Prevents Double Strike as well from 1/1s.
Oh. It's not a good feeling to have a Planeswalker Ultimate go off
It
and
is
still
not
just
the
lose.
best Planeswalker Ultimate Red Green's ever seen.
Yeah.
Red Green has so many Planeswalkers. Let's get some love for some of the other guilds here.
I think it's just because the Red Green ones go so well with the creatures they're already playing.
That's true. I want to see some more blue-white Planeswalkers. Narset was okay, but
Yeah, 4-mana Domri, that's what Narset was.
she's alright, but I think we can do better.
Yeah, maybe this next set.
Might be a new Tamiyo. I dig me some Tamiyo.
Tamiyo's exciting.
Alright, let's see if Noel can keep his 7 here.
Oh.
He's thinking about shipping it.
Well, Josh... Nope,
Oh,
they both
okay.
kept. Noel kept a 7. What a day to be alive. Josh leading on fetch.
Oh, with an elf.
Noel has the dork. Well, yeah.
Yeah, right.
As-
He would have shipped it if it didn't have an elf.
Yeah, the turn 1 elf is so crucial for this green deck. Your hand has to be absolutely insane
Elves
to not...
also especially powerful against the blue-white-red mid-range deck, as we've talked about. He doesn't want to spend his removal spells on Noel's elves, but the game spirals out of control extremely quickly
if he
when they
doesn't.
stay in play. If he doesn't,
So he forces his opponent, in this case Josh, to kill his elves if he can. Otherwise, he just gets to resolve too many threats too quickly. That's what happened last game.
Looks like I saw a Rattle Claw Mystic and a Wood Elves in Noel's hand.
Alright.
So looks like he's set up for some future mana making as well. Let's see what Josh is.
Yeah, there it
there's
is.
the bolt.
Chain Lightning for the
Chain Lightning.
elf.
And tap land. Let's see if Noel's got a...
Good. Noel didn't keep the 1-lander. Wild Growth. Virtually free. Devoted Druid. Alright, so Noel
going fast.
potentially has 6 mana if he has a 3rd land. next turn. We do know 2 of the cards in his hand are Wood Elves and Rattleclaw, so he has a lot of mana. Hopefully he has something to do with it.
Yeah, we could see him run into a problem where he doesn't have any impactful spells and only takes 1 counterspell from Josh to put the game away.
Yeah, that can be a problem with the green decks. Man, who's this guy who would stand in front of the camera like that? What a buffoon. That was me, in case anyone was wondering.
Josh is thinking really hard.
Yeah, we can
here.
see it's a scary time to play a 3-drop, and it's not
a super impactful 3-drop.
It's not Mantis Rider.
Yeah, the green deck doesn't particularly care about 3 damage coming across on the ground. See what Noel can do
ground
here.
creatures at all.
Man, these people.
Oh, the downfall of
Wandering all
Noel.
over the
Tina
place.
coming to watch. Uh-oh.
Yeah. What's he got here? He's going
Wood
for the
Elves.
elves.
Yeah, so as we were saying, one of the big downfalls of the big mana decks in general, be it the green deck or the Academy deck, is that you have all the mana and you can't mulligan these hands that are super acceleration heavy in most matchups. But you don't have anything to do. You have to just sort of hope you draw something to do, but sometimes you don't.
I've had a lot of games, where I just ramp into nothing. I've got 25 mana available to me, and you draw Forest.
Exactly, and those blue decks are just sitting there. They have 2 cards in hand, and you know they're both counter spells because you haven't played anything for them to counter all game, and they're just sitting there looking at you with a sly smile. And
I like that the Hoof deck gets to make good use of this $3 dual land.
yeah,
Cinderglade.
Yeah,
It's
Cinderglade's
super
gonna
good.
bomb.
Super good in this deck.
So he's more from that Rattleclaw Mystic,
Yeah,
presumably.
so we know it's a Rattleclaw Mystic.
So he is just hoping to draw gas now.
Josh may think Den Protector. Rattleclaw's not on most people's radar.
No.
Good
It's
thing
generally
you got a new playmat, eh?
rocking the Rattleclaw Mystic playmat.
So
I've been a big fan of Rattleclaw Mystic.
it allows you for some super explosive turns.
Yeah, it's one of the easiest ways to get down a quick prime time.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because most decks sort of do the count. They're like, okay, he's on 4 mana. I have a removal spell for whatever he plays, so I'm going to tap out.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you flip a Rattleclaw. And then it
just a
ramps
free
you 2 in
mana,
1
yeah.
turn.
And you're not upset when they kill it with Lightning Bolt or a card like that.
Oh,
And
there's Mantis Rider.
if they think it's Den Protector, they'll feel like they have to kill it. Looks like that must have been Josh's draw step.
Yeah, otherwise he almost certainly would have played it last turn, I think.
So no blocks. Noel's taking 6 here.
Yeah, puts Noel down to 14.
Oh, but see if he knew that Noel wouldn't. He must have known Noel wouldn't block.
13.
So actually, he got in 3 more damage.
Elvish Visionary from Noel.
Hoping for some gas.
Yeah. That's all Noel has going on here. He's in trouble.
It's coming up. Another elf.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we're coming up to Dragon time here.
So it looks like Noel is experiencing the problem we alluded to earlier in that he has all the mana in the world, just nothing to do with it.
Josh might not have the best answers either if he's preordaining here.
Yeah, like even if Josh's creatures didn't have vigilance, it doesn't matter for what Noel's played.
Yeah, Josh can just race these. They all have one or 2 power. Noel has 5 creatures in play, but combined they only have 5 power.
I assume he's blocking here if Josh swings with the Finks. Sacrifice an elf.
Yeah, he didn't have something he wanted to block with, but now he's got
he'd
Elvish.
block with the morph.
Or the Visionary, I suppose. You think he blocks with the morph to kill the Finks?
I think so. I don't see why you'd start jump blocking the Finks yet. He's still at 13. You want to keep yourself out of burn range, but...
Josh scried both cards to the bottom, looked like.
Yeah, looked like Josh put both on the bottom. I thought I saw an Electrolyze in Josh's hand there.
Electrolyze not very relevant anymore. He's looking for a counter spell or a 5 mana dragon, I would say at this point.
Yeah, Josh either wants something to close out the game quickly or stop Noel from finding a top deck threat. Because at this point it's pretty evident that Noel doesn't have much going on. Could have cast virtually anything in his deck last turn.
Yeah, I think Josh is hoping for the counterspell because the Mantis Rider's gonna put it away slowly enough.
Yeah, Josh is definitely looking for something to slow down Noel.
Yeah, trying to fade a Crater Hoof draw. And we see this time that Mantis Rider has Vigilance.
Mantis Rider does have Vigilance. Nothing Noel can really do here. He does elect to chump. Chooses to keep that Morph Rattleclaw.
He's going to 10 here, we think, yeah.
Yeah, we think he's going to 10.
He's looking to draw either Natural Order for Hornet Queen at this point or just Hornet Queen, I think now. Because he's in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Hornet Queen would be very welcome.
Definitely. But I'd say any of his 7 drops really, like Regal Force, Hornet Queen.
I know there was a time when I don't know if he has Dragon Lord of Tarka, but that could be.
Yeah, that would be very good.
That's his best draw.
So we think Noel's going to 9 here.
Gotta get out of second right territory, right?
Can't quite see the life pads clear enough, but yeah, Josh
bugging him about Cryptic Command.
No, I think Josh was feigning the second right.
Oh.
Maybe he's going to 10 then.
He's going for an Arbor.
Getting the Dryad Arbor. Might as well make Critter Hoof lethal.
Yeah. Just more proof that he's got nothing to do with the mana.
Yeah,
that he
exactly.
has access to, right?
Yeah. When the green deck's fetching up Dryad Arbor, they have more mana than they really need.
Also looks like Electrolyze shuts off lethal from Crater Hoof even if he draws it.
Looks like Josh thinking on Noel's end step after he fetches. We know he's got that Electrolyze in hand. I think if Josh Electrolyzes here, that's pretty good for Noel.
You think it's good for him?
I think so. Because that means if he draws a threat, it resolves. I'd be way more scared of Josh passing with 4 mana up.
Yeah, that's fair. Just baits out the dragon.
Maybe it means he doesn't have a counterspell and he's a bit afraid of what could happen.
That is probably what it should mean to Noel, is that Josh doesn't have counterspell here. Because, Noel still has 7 mana and more from that Morphed Rattleclaw.
Yeah.
But it's fun that Noel's an experienced Hoof player. It shows that keeping the Rattleclaw and not trading with the Kitchen Finks was a good decision early on.
Definitely. Elvish Archdruid, more mana, but not really what he was looking for.
I guess it lets him trade now with his Mystic, yeah.
Yeah, so now he gets to put the Mystic in front of the Finks.
Or does he?
Oh, it's a charm for the Archdruid. That's a good
to be
2
fair,
for 1 from Josh.
Noel was probably chumping Kitchen Finks at this point anyways.
Well, he already did last turn, so.
Right, yeah.
Geistis Entraft.
It's looking like another scary draw.
Yeah, so
More action.
Noel has basically 1 draw step. Yeah, extends the hand. Josh takes it down with the mid-range deck.
Even a Den Protector doesn't help him in that situation.
No. Noel wondering where all his good cards went.
Yeah.
Yeah, even beyond Crater Hoof, there's so many Planeswalkers in this deck and so many good mid-range threats.
Yeah, as we saw the last game when he was just able to go Garruk into Huntmaster into Thragtusk.
And Josh's only counterspell that game was Izzet Charm.
Yeah.
It looks like, so yeah, almost anything was resolving.
Yeah. Well, Josh was never leaving up counterspells.
Yeah.
So that was a super interesting match to watch.
Awesome, man.
Well played by both players. Definitely didn't see any mistakes that they made.
No, it's really complicated decision making for both players.
Yeah, this is a really interactive matchup. Good matchup to see in the finals.
Yeah. congrats to Josh on the win there.
Yeah.
What did he walk home with? What was a collector's dual land?
Tropical Island, I think.
Tropical Island, yeah.
Took home a collector's trop. That's a really awesome prize.
Yeah. Are we doing a Highlanders for Staple in the future anytime?
Yeah, look out for the next one a little while after the Shadows over Innistrad pre-release.
Cool.
And then we're also doing the Team Unified Highlander Constructed on May 22nd.
Awesome.
Awesome, guys. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this. It was super fun to do it. Thanks to Pat James for setting this up, recording the video.
Yeah, thanks you guys for coming out and
Yeah, thanks.
chatting it up.
Awesome.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Yeah, next
Bye.
time.